Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and I got the exclusive LEGO Vault set and built it. That's right, this is the LEGO Inside Tour 2024 exclusive. If you were lucky enough to be chosen to attend the in-person tour of LEGO headquarters in Billund, Denmark last year, you would receive a copy of the Vault. Now, the Vault is an actual location that you can go to in Denmark, and I've put out a whole video touring the Vault on my own. But this is the first time they've turned it into an actual LEGO set, and I cannot wait to dive in here. There is an exclusive LEGO Duck element, so of course Duckbricks had to get this set, as well as dozens of stickers referencing some extremely iconic LEGO sets, from Rock Raiders to Castle to Mindstorms and everything in between. This is a really cool celebration of LEGO history. So let's jump in right now. Before we can dive deep into the set, I have to tell the story of how I was able to obtain such a rare item, and honestly, it was kind of by accident. You see, I was on vacation in Paris, and I happened upon a random used LEGO store, which had a ton of older discontinued LEGO sets, but the owner had actually just returned from the Inside Tour, and he had a second copy of the set available to sell me. And so I had to absolutely see if there was any way I could make some sort of deal to get this super special LEGO set, and well, lo and behold, here it is. So let's transport ourselves over to Paris and check out Nom d'une Brique. So I am here in Paris and checking out a specialty LEGO store, Nom d'une Brique, and I have a feeling I'm about to find some pretty special and crazy items inside, so let's go check it out. Now, going inside the store, there was actually quite a lot to see. Not only did it have a main level filled with mostly modern LEGO sets or sets that came out in the past few years, but it also had a full-on underground basement level absolutely stacked to the brim, full of all sorts of random discontinued LEGO sets. Now, honestly, due to my LEGO collection, I already owned most of the sets I found here, but I ended up walking away from the store with some pretty interesting random exclusive LEGO items. Stuff like French LEGO Bionicle books from Generation 2, or even a Chima activity book, which was over 10 years old. They had an absolutely crazy selection of just random older LEGO items. You can see some of the first LEGO Lunar New Year sets here, some LEGO Overwatch sets from 2019, and even a DC Superhero Girl set which survived all the way from 2017. So they had a pretty wide selection of random older sets. There wasn't anything super crazy. I would say that the oldest set that I found was maybe 2015, 2016, but it was still really cool to see everything fully sealed and in this massive warehouse of a LEGO store, especially because it just kept on going and going. The further you went underground, more and more random old sets began to pop up, which was super cool. There also was a wall full of older collectible minifigures still in the boxes, which I thought was an awesome addition to just check out, because you don't really often see a ton of older collectible minifigures all fully arranged like that. But for me, the thing that really caught my eye was a very special LEGO Inside Tour trophy. Now, if you aren't aware of how exactly these work, during the Inside Tour there are all sorts of LEGO competitions where fans who attend the tour can decide to build their own MOCs and compete in almost like a LEGO Master style tournament. And for every single one of those competitions, the LEGO designers create a custom trophy for the winners. And this one was a storybook themed one. I've seen a Bionicle themed one from a couple of years ago, so there's a lot of really cool trophies that are given out, and these are barely documented anywhere online. And that's how I knew to ask about the LEGO Inside Tour set, because if they had a trophy from the Inside Tour, that means they probably had the set as well. And this was a pretty crazy time, because obviously I got a chance to dig around the back stock room of the store. You can literally see me shining my flashlight around trying to find all sorts of different rare items, but during this time, they had mentioned that yes, they did have an extra copy of the Inside Tour set. They actually kept their own, but they had an extra copy of it that they were willing to look into selling to me, but it wasn't even located at the store. So what we had to do was arrange a whole pickup thing where the owner of the store had to go and find it and then bring it directly to my hotel to complete our deal. It was absolutely wild, but I had a total blast digging around here. I think some of the coolest sets I found were, you can see back here, the LEGO Batman movie Ultimate Batmobile, one of the coolest LEGO Batmobile sets ever, and then again, you could even see some older like GWPs in there, like the Lego House GWP. That's an older city square in there. Even some exclusive Lego House sets were packed away in here because the owner had gone to Bill in Denmark a ton of times, and I really feel like there were so many treasure troves just hidden away behind different stacked boxes. I probably missed some because this was a total crazy hunt to just look for some older sets as I was roaming around the back stock rooms. But eventually, it came time to finally pick up the Inside Tour set, and this was 2024's, and honestly, it was maybe one of my most anticipated LEGO Inside Tour sets of all time. The vault already has a pretty legendary status among LEGO fans. It is, again, a place where a copy of every single LEGO set is contained, which is absolutely wild that LEGO just has this available. It's not even the only vault they have. They have multiple vaults and most of them are private to the company, but this one is actually public, and they only have standard retail sets, so really no polybags. I don't even think they have that many GWPs. They've got some, but no books or anything like that. But it is still a really cool display space I was able to visit a few years back, and again, this is the first time we're actually getting a LEGO set based off of the vault, which is so cool. On the back of the box here, you can see a whole description about what the vault is, some of the sets personally picked out by the designer to actually showcase in the set, which is very cool, and honestly, that was the part that I was most excited for. It's always really cool to me whenever LEGO makes meta sets like this, where they make like a LEGO store set, where you could have minifigures purchase LEGO sets off of shelves, and they usually have stickers depicting some of the modern sets, but this one was full of vintage sets, so you had a ton of vintage box art, vintage elements included inside the set itself that were stickered onto the boxes to really make it a celebration of LEGO history. It also included an exclusive piece. This is a 3D printed LEGO wooden duck piece. They introduced it in red and gave it away at the LEGO House sometime last year and the year before, but this is the first time it was included in an official LEGO set, and they chose to recolor it in this dark green color. It's really cool how LEGO is continuing to experiment with 3D printed pieces in their sets. We actually are getting the Winter Train, which does have the very first standard retail 3D printed element, which has proven to be pretty controversial, but I think it's actually really cool that LEGO has decided to do this, and altogether, it's always great when I'm able to add another new LEGO duck to the Duck Bricks collection, so this was super cool. As you can see, you can roll it along and it actually opens and closes the bill, which really goes to show just how far LEGO has come as a company, where obviously this was the toy they were producing all the way back in the day out of wood, and now they can basically make the exact same thing just machined out of plastic, which is super nice. A lot of folks are worried about things being durable, and honestly, I feel like this was a really nice way to test that, because despite the fact that it has a moving element and wheels, this is super strong. It is very hard to break. You can't really damage it whatsoever. You could even step on it and it'll be fine, which I may or may not have accidentally done while filming this review, so I can personally attest that these are pretty hardy despite being 3D printed. But now let's take a closer look at the actual set itself. To be honest, this is not the most interesting build, and I feel like a lot of that is because, well, it is basically just a replica of the actual vault building, which is essentially just the inside of the LEGO Idea House, so there really isn't that much to see architecturally, but it absolutely made up for it by having all these exclusive printed and stickered elements. First of all, they included a ton of minifigures with printed badges that say LIT, or LEGO Inside Tour. These are actually printed on the badges, which suggests that LEGO can actually be able to really cleanly print those, which is really nice. They also have some exclusive LEGO torsos for the LEGO House employees included in the set, which is really nice, and you can see our very first vintage set on the top there, which is the older LEGO train station from 2005-2006, which I actually had as a kid. All along here are references to famous LEGO patents. There's one for the EV3 there's one for the rowboat actually, and then there's one for the plants made by plants, among a couple of others like Fabuland references, which is really cool. The actual vault in Denmark does have a Bionicle mask patent printed on the sides of the shelves, which is really cool, but sadly I did not find a single Bionicle reference in this entire vault set, which was a very sad surprise, but honestly, it made up for it by having a lot of other set Easter eggs. You can see some botanical sets there, the Technic Excavator, and well, technically this set did include a Bionicle. It's not on the front of the box, but that was the 90 Years of Play LEGO set, which included the little scrunkly Tahu. You have the very first friend's house there too, and then we get to some of the good old stuff. Back here is a LEGO Rock Raider set. You have the Technic Bucket Wheel Excavator, which I still think is one of the best LEGO Technic sets. It's just so unique. You've got a LEGO Classic Castle Forestmen set. This is the Forestmen's hideout, which is super cool. Of course, you have a reference to the LEGO Ninjago movie Destiny's Bounty, which is a phenomenal build and one of my favorite Ninjago sets of all time. You have the very first Mindstorms RCX set, the Black Seas Barracuda, another classic LEGO pirate ship, and they're really hitting all of the classic favorites here. On this side, you have the Red Baron, which is pretty interesting to see LEGO reference because that was technically a military plane, so they probably wouldn't do that again. You have one of the vintage castles, that one was for the Lion Knights, and then you have the LEGO Technic Control Center 2, which was allowing you to actually draw things electronically. You've got a Belleville reference there, which was a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. And then on this other side, you have a really nice mix of sets, like one of the early vintage LEGO Technic sets. You can tell it's Technic from the way the box is set up, a classic LEGO City set from 2006 era, a classic space set, specifically one of the wheeled rovers. That's a pretty odd one to choose, but I believe it's because the designer had that as a kid. You've got another LEGO larger scale Technic or model team set, and a Fabuland build as well, which is super cool to see it with the box, and of course, a box referencing one of those classic LEGO trains. Finally, you have some of the earliest sets here. We have another reference to what many believe is the best LEGO train ever in the locomotive there, that red and light gray one. You also have one of the first LEGO trains, an early LEGO ferry, one of the vintage LEGO motorcycles, which I actually just picked up in a used store in Amsterdam a few years back, the model team truck, and so much more. And then finally, you can rotate on to the other side here to showcase just all of the different sets after taking one last look at, like, you can see the Technic motorbike on the back there, and these are really tucked away. But on the first shelf here, you have some of the first LEGO sets ever. So you've got the vintage cottage there, you have one of the early LEGO builder sets, an early town plan, one of the first LEGO cars, an early house, one of those vintage discontinued LEGO car builds, an entire box dedicated to train tracks, and then finally just one last LEGO builder set. You also have a little mini-scale version of the Titanic there on the shelf, and a little sticker saying memory lane, which is accurate to the way that it actually looks in real life. Of course, on the back here, you have references to some of the classic LEGO wooden toys. Obviously, the wooden duck is very overscaled to what it should be, but it is pretty nice to have that be represented in the set, and altogether, I was blown away by just how much effort went into making this be very exclusive. You've got the exclusive printed vault tile, the exclusive wooden duck in dark green, the exclusive torsos for the LEGO house employees, and the exclusive badges for the LEGO Inside Tour members, not to mention what is maybe the greatest LEGO sticker sheet of all time, with stickers that reference all of these iconic classic LEGO sets. Personally, I think it would have been really cool if they had just one Bionicle set, and yeah, I know I'm biased, but I also understand why they didn't do it, because that would have had to have printed on a canister, and they probably just didn't have the budget to print a brand new canister. They can't really do a curved sticker on that, because LEGO tries to stay away from curved stickers on pieces that small, so I can actually understand why they chose not to include one, but it still would have been nice to get. On the other side of the vault, you have a pretty uninteresting building exterior. I would love to see somebody try to actually turn this into an actual minifigure scale recreation of the LEGO Idea House and the vault, because you basically have it here. You would probably need to like 3x the size of this set, but it is still possible to put it together into an actual build. So altogether, I really like this LEGO Vault set. While it may be one of the most niche LEGO sets ever, and I don't see that many people absolutely clamoring to have this set unless you're lucky enough to have actually visited the vault, or you really want to get those stickers of those older LEGO boxes, I think it is the perfect LEGO Inside Tour set because it's literally a place you visit on the tour, and it is something that is so deeply tied to LEGO itself. On Bricklink right now, there are only 3 copies of this set available for sale. The cheapest one is available for $6,000 US, and it only goes up to $8,000 and $10,700 from there. So if you want to pick this up, be prepared to spend quite a lot of money on it because it has so many exclusive elements with the duck, the printed pieces, and of course that amazing sticker sheet. But honestly, I am really happy I was able to add this to my collection. This is by far one of the absolute coolest LEGO Inside Tour sets ever in my opinion. I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to get my hands on this year's, hopefully sometime soon. That's all for this review, but I wanted to kind of end this video by transporting ourselves back to that really cool older LEGO store that I got this from in Paris, because there were still so many other items I wanted to call out that I was able to get. I discovered these LEGO books hiding away inside the store, and included was a LEGO Fabuland book, which is so rare to see, specifically in French. I have a couple of the Danish ones gifted to me by some LEGO employees who just kind of held on to them, but it was really cool to actually see one out in the wild like that. Super cool, and certainly not something you would really ever see in any American used LEGO store. I would be very surprised. They had a ton of different books from across the LEGO years of history, such as this Bionicle book in French, which I just had to pick up as well. It had a copy of Ikimu's protector mask on it, which I thought was super cool. And again, this is just so much fun reliving the memories of digging through here and trying to figure out what I could get. There were some older sealed Speedors sets, which were super cool. I'm trying to refrain myself from just buying all sorts of crazy items that I don't really need, because I already have all the Speedors, so I don't really need to get them sealed again. If they had Ninjago spinners sealed though, that would have been a completely different story. That being said, it was really cool to see all of these older LEGO books, like early LEGO Friends stuff, a LEGO Culture book, which was super cool, and just random stuff like these French LEGO Bionicle hardcover comics. I remember getting these when they came out in English, but I really feel like they were softcover. I don't really remember getting them hardcover. I would have to check my LEGO library to refresh myself, but because I wanted to get them in French, I wanted to add that to my collection, so had to pick it up. All sorts of different French LEGO books here, and this is something I don't really showcase a lot on my LEGO channel, but I do have my own LEGO book collection, and it was really cool just digging through here and trying to find some older and rarer LEGO books. There was a LEGO Incredibles 2 set there, which was pretty crazy, all sorts of pretty rare GWPs as well, which was very cool to see tucked away, and it was very kind of the shop owner to just let me kind of dig around here and just have unrestricted access to trying to find all sorts of random items to add to my collection. You never really know what you're going to find in a store like this. I had to pick up one of these Chima activity books because I don't really know what to describe it. It's not really a book. I would say it's like a Speedors activity set, which was super interesting. Definitely one of the most random things I was able to pick up, but that was in addition to my haul, plus a couple of older LEGO Friends sets I didn't already have. So just very cool random books to grab because you don't really see these every day. Altogether, I had an absolute blast, and I hope you enjoyed this special look at kind of a 2-pack in one video where you have a look at the exclusive LEGO Vault set, as well as a pretty cool used LEGO store in France. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon, and let me know in the comments, do you happen to own the LEGO Vault set, or have you been lucky enough to attend the LEGO Inside Tour? Because I've been trying for years, and you know what? Maybe one of these years I finally will be accepted on the tour. That's all, thanks so much, and bye for now.